And whatever dominates your thoughts is going to dominate you.
And I legit started doing
the lightsaber. You literally did a lightsaber yesterday.
I'm gonna drop the fact that I love my wife. In
Yeah.
My wife told me about that. I do that all
Gosh,
the time.
I love my wife.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Patros Podcast. My name is Allan Pereira. My dog Jeff Ford right here.
All right, what's up?
The boss, El Jefe.
I like El Jefe.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Thank you for joining us this week as we embrace healthy masculinity and we're on this journey. What are we talking about today, Jeff?
Today?
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
Something all of us might struggle with. How you feeling, by the way?
We're going to talk about idolatry. Now, if you hear that and you're like, man, I don't know what that means, I'm going to bounce. Stay with us. Because it's like a Bible word, but we're going to break it down.
True.
You know what I mean?
You forget people might not.
People don't know what idolatry. Listen, bro, when I was trying to Google top idols that men have,
yeah.
You know what I was getting? I was getting K-pop.
Oh, people that they admire.
Yeah, I was getting Korean pop idol figures, and I was getting a bunch of videos of K-pop music.
That's hilarious.
That's crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about those idols.
In the comment section, go ahead and put your favorite K-pop idol.
You didn't know we were going South Korean.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Hip hop, and
that's how not normal it is to have that discussion.
That's what I'm saying. Idolatry is not a word that people talk about, and yet is probably the most damning thing as a believer, but as a human.
That's good,
right? Whenever you are exalting something above the Creator, right?
Yeah.
So, but before we get into that, I got a little something for you.
Okay.
On the Patros Podcast, we like to keep it light, serious, but also light.
Yes.
Because we're men. And I found this article. So it was, I was thinking about what are the idols that men have, and then I was thinking, well, men do some weird things, right? What are some weird things that we do?
A lot,
right? So I found this article, 12 strange things men do that women have zero idea about. And I was going through them I don't do all these, though. So I'm going to see if you do.
Okay.
And see where we're at. But I like how he...
I'm worried.
I like how he starts it, because he's like, men are mysterious, disgusting creatures. I'm like, yeah, we are.
Not far off.
All right, so number one, we unleash our inner geeks when alone.
What does that mean?
So this is what he said. He's like, while not many of us study traditional martial arts, we all practice gunfighting, kung fu, and lightsaber when we get a free moment. Yes, even that guy with the chiseled abs in the Harvard MBA.
So,
what do you do at home when no one's there?
I don't really change if someone is or not.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the same. But literally, I think it was yesterday. So we have... Alexis found this rug on sale or something, but it had one of those long, the toilet paper rolls, except the long ones. Mm-hmm. So I saw it just on the wall, and she's sitting on the couch, and I was like, "What's this?" And she was like, "Oh no!"
Oh no!
And I just grab it, and I was when I did Taekwondo, I was a weapons specialist. And I legit started doing
the lightsaber. You literally did a lightsaber yesterday.
It's a staff. I think it was called the bong bong gi, she started laughing that I even knew. Yeah.
Oh man.
So yes, that one's spot on.
That's hilarious. So I'm trying to think I
you
definitely
don't do
would use
when you're alone?
I'll definitely use a lightsaber maybe if I would do the same thing if I had an empty toilet paper roll that was 3 feet long. It's a perfect lightsaber.
It was tall. It was 6.5 feet.
Oh yeah, because now you'd use both hands. It's like a paddle.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because when I was setting this up, there's a sword over there. So someone was playing with a sword in here, and I know it was a male.
I think the thing that I do, and I'm kind of like you though. I would do it
in front
of people or my family. But maybe when I'm alone, I try a different groove, man. I dance. I'll just start dancing. And the key with dancing, you don't have to be good. You just have to move.
Yeah, I have videos.
Yeah.
Of you dancing.
Yeah. You don't have to be good. You just have to move.
You just have to enjoy yourself.
You just have to enjoy yourself. People really don't care.
Yeah.
Like people.
If you enjoy yourself, people actually enjoy it more.
Yeah, because you're just like, man, I'm just feeling it.
Yeah,
like,
you're not trying too hard.
I'm not trying. I'm just like, this is me, and like I don't care. Like I'm not K-pop star.
Yeah.
I'm not K-pop idol.
I'm no one's idol.
I don't need to do the choreography they do. All right, let's move on.
Do you track choreography if you're alone?
No, but I would love to.
Like, did you ever sit there and watch, like, who did you listen to?
Oh, and then like try to like do the moves. Maybe. Like that's a long time ago, but we saw Moulin Rouge the other day. I love the theater. Like
That's your thing.
I don't know, man. There's something about a live performance to me. Like it's not scripted. Like it's scripted, but if you mess up, you mess up. Like the show's got to go on. There's no cutting. Like the podcast, we could say something dumb and cut it.
Yeah.
And I just love that, like the talent level of those people.
It has to be perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Or at least near.
And then the choreography is like, so like I love musicals. So like Sound of Music. And
what's Moulin Rouge? I acted like I knew what that was.
Moulin Rouge is like, it's actually kind of like it's a story about a cabaret in Paris that like.
What's a cabaret?
In like a. I gotta break it down.
I sound so uncultured, which I probably am.
It's like a high end strip club.
Oh.
Like singing but like, back rooms and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like
that's
not
like
a great.
Yeah.
Not a great Christian place to be.
Gotcha.
So anyway, a guy buys it out because they're struggling with money, and anyway, it's the story of like how the people get the cabaret back. Anyway, it's actually not as risque as it sounds.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It sounds like really
sounds like healthy masculinity.
It does not sound like healthy masculinity, but it's actually not. It's not very risque.
Gotcha.
I mean, I wouldn't probably take my 12-year-old to it, but
yeah.
And we were far enough back, like you could.
You're not gonna see.
You're not seeing much. Crazy. It was all like a blur.
Yeah.
But just I do love choreography. So man, that was a long time talking about that. But all right, let me move on to this. So number 2 was, I don't do this one. We send other dudes pictures of our poop.
I used to do that.
Did you do that in the day? I wonder if it's like a younger guy.
Yeah.
Like I can't ever remember. Maybe to my wife I might send it. Like, yo, look at this.
She would kill me if I sent her any of that.
But he said, like, frankly, this would be 90% of the content if there was a males only Instagram. And I'm like, I don't know. So I was like, maybe that's a generational thing.
I think the only time guys usually send it is if it's an impressive situation.
Yeah.
Like you have a clean break.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh no, I was like, I don't know about that one. All right, let's move on. Now, see, this one is interesting. This is like a more serious one for us. But I'm interested to get your take.
Yeah.
We think about cheating all the time.
Like.
Yeah, like cheating.
Like cheating, relationship cheating,
yeah,
or
relationship
cheating in sports or something.
Yeah. He says, this is what he says. Again, approved,
Yeah.
Men talk about boning a decent amount. Outside of fantasy football, it's evidently the most interesting thing out there. And even the good guys who would never ever cheat, talk about cheating.
I feel like that's not.
I don't feel like that's it.
Yeah.
And this would be the difference maybe between
culture.
Someone who is saved and someone who isn't.
Yeah.
I do think that there are probably men out there who have an image to keep up. And so they don't talk about it. But this says think about. So maybe the thinking, and I would be lying if I said I never thought, thought, right?
Yeah.
That would be disingenuous.
Yeah.
So I do think that, but Scripture wants us to renew our minds. So the idea is we think about that less and less. Like the more we go on with Jesus, the less and less we think about those things that would be dishonoring not only to him but to the others around us.
Well, and the context in which you think about it changes, right? So like if your thought process is like, man, I could cheat right now, you know,
Yeah.
like that's not good.
Right.
But if your context is like, this is a situation where accountability is necessary because this is an opportunity where I would cheat, you know, like that's very different. But
it's much more
it's
like
about
analytical, like trying to go, okay,
Yeah.
I need to be careful here. I just need to recognize, not saying
Yeah.
anything's going to happen. I just,
Yeah.
the flesh is strong,
Yeah.
and let me find a way where I can get out of this particular
Like,
situation.
oh, I'm gonna drop the fact that I love my wife in this
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Like, you know, yeah, my wife told me about that. Like, I do that all
Gosh,
the time.
I love my wife.
Yeah. The person's like, dude, I'm just getting your order.
Yeah. This is all you.
But that's
I
the
know you
stuff.
think that you think I'm into you, but I'm not.
Yeah. But like as Christian, like there's so many times where people are like, you know, like, hey, we can go for coffee and have a meeting about this. And like we work in the nonprofit space,
Yeah.
so we have to have meetings with people in different organizations, partnerships. Like I just had a meeting with someone from a local church. And so we sat at the bar because she's a female, I'm a male, but we knew people there. So
Yeah.
I try to make sure like, so I have to think about cheating in order to
Yeah.
never put myself in that situation.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that when you come to know Jesus and like you come into the family of God, you think differently. There is like, at least it should be. If we're growing, we should be renewing our mind. And so I think that is probably much more of a. It's not to say that Christian men don't. I'm not trying to
for
make it
sure.
sound like we're.
No.
It's just to say that like we recognize that that's not. So we're not going to give into it. It's like the whole
There's a
neural
standard.
pathway thing, right? Like
Yeah.
the more you create that neural pathway, the easier it is to go down it again later on. So.
That's good.
All right, number 4. This is totally true. We talk a big game.
What's the context of big game?
He
Just
goes,
in
every
general?
dude that, if it came down to it, thinks he'd be able to beat the brakes off the guy. And it's so true. You're like, man, I got that guy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, luckily, most of us find the prospect of getting punched to be fairly unappealing to test the theory.
Dude, there's been like times where I'm at the gym and I see guys that I'm like, if I like this narrative literally goes in my brain.
Yeah.
Like I'll see the dude bench like a four plates or something.
Yeah.
But the guy won't be massive. He'll just be like a normal,
Yeah.
maybe 230.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, in the normal day, like I think
I could take that guy.
but
Seeing him in the gym.
he's twice as strong as me. Like I
No
can barely-
chance.
I was like, how wild is it that I would just look at a guy and be like, man, I could probably take him, having no idea how strong they are.
And I think that's one of the things women definitely do not get is like we walk into a room where like
Everything's like,
I could take that dude. Like that guy might be the nicest guy in the world. He's not trying to take
You're still
nobody.
measuring.
And I'm still like I could take it. You know, you just like if I had to. If like and by the way, I have no basis for that. Like,
well, I don't know. Do you know who Bradley Martin is? He's like a influencer.
maybe yeah.
He's like a workout influencer, but he weighs. So there's a running joke because he weighs 260 pounds. Like he's a massive, like bodybuilder type dude, and he was interviewing on his podcast like a UFC guy that's like $150.
Oh.
And he told the UFC guy like, "You really think you could take me? Like, bro, I'm 110 pounds bigger than you." And the guy was like, "I'd kill you."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because like that's the thing is like it's not all about strength and weight. Like those smaller guys that are just trained killers,
It's all
are
training,
weapons. Yeah,
technique,
Yeah.
practice, like all of that.
Yeah, and so there's a running joke of people being like, "You have no idea."
And you know how many fat guys I've seen like outside a football game try to fight somebody, and they can't move, and they're like, and you think they're gonna dominate.
Yeah. Bro, I just watched the slap boxing, not slap,
yeah.
power slap
Yeah.
that Dana White just did. Bro, there's these Samoan guys that go on there and they literally smile after getting slapped. And one of the dudes was 6'4", 400 pounds. It was two 400-pound guys,
Yeah.
6'4" and 6'2", massive guys. And the guy just goes, whoa, and the Samoan dude just looks at him and goes, I was like, that's someone that you just...
My wife is like, why, like when something bad happens around the house, why do you and Asher laugh? Like if someone trips or someone gets hurt or like I'll fall and I'll be and my son will just crack up,
That's
you know,
hilarious.
and I'm just like, I don't know. It's just, Like, I'm not being mean. It's just funny. Like, when
Yeah,
people
yeah.
fall, it's funny.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
people
yeah.
get hurt, it's fun. Like, not too hurt, you know.
Yeah, like first you're like, are they good?
Are they
Am I
good?
allowed to
Oh,
laugh?
he's good.
Oh yeah.
Let me
Can I
go.
laugh publicly or do I have to go in a corner real quick?
All right, let me move on here. So, I'm gonna not go through all these, but
Yeah.
this one, we enjoy peeing from high up places.
Bro, yes.
That's so true.
Yeah.
We just
Or
like peeing
far.
in general.
Or far.
Far, like if I can write my name.
Yeah.
Right, like just peeing. Actually, like
That's
like it's not just peeing from high up places. Like peeing outside.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
peeing in the shower. Like wherever.
Yeah.
Like
I think I was at Starbucks or Cafe Vino. I think might have been when I ran into you guys and went to the bathroom. They're having a man up meeting. I'm in the bathroom. But legit, like I had held it for so long that I was like, I could touch the wall and still pee. And have a clean like situation. And I did it.
You're like, let me test it.
And nothing, like no drip anywhere. It was just perfect aim. And I was like, I just touched the wall across the bathroom.
I'm glad to know this since I went in after you, I'm sure, and used that bathroom.
That's hilarious.
All right, so this one, we want to make our women happy without too much effort.
Can you elaborate?
So he says, per the greatest relationship selling author ever, John Gray. I have no idea who John Gray is.
I don't know.
A man's greatest pleasure in life is making his partner happy. When we're complaining about you complaining, the general consensus is, man, I wish I knew how to make her happier, but without doing too much work. So I was thinking about, I'm like,
I think we're just efficient.
we're just efficient. I mean, it is true though. Like, I'm thinking, what is the path of least resistance by which I can make you happy, and I don't have to do a lot.
Yeah, I don't have to like overdo it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that probably borders on toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so when I read this, I was like, man, that's true. I can't deny it. And yet that's probably toxic.
Yeah.
So it's like, how,
Yeah.
I think I should probably reevaluate like how I, want to make my wife maybe I should just make her happy because I want to.
Yeah.
And I like to.
Like, I know the constant thought for a lot of guys, because I see it all over the internet on like men have a joint understanding on like, yeah, I know if I take the trash out, you'll be happy about that, but then you're also going to be like, can you also do this? And then if I do that,
Then you're going to be like, well, why don't you do this?
How come you didn't do that? And then you just, like, men generally feel that way of like, I'm never going to be able to make you happy.
Yeah.
And so men are like, I don't want to put too much energy because I'm not going to be able to make you happy.
Because then the
anyways.
expectation will go way up.
Yeah. Which it's still wrong. It's still toxic.
It's
but
definitely toxic.
I think that's like the thought process men go through.
Yeah, it's definitely toxic. It's not good.
No, because you're supposed to be sacrificial.
Correct. So, yeah. I mean, man.
And half the time,
don't
it's
do
not that the women expect too much. They're just like, can you just do this base level thing for me?
And she's like, this is so basic. And you're like, oh my gosh. But I was reading like,
Never make you happy.
like men on average get almost a full hour a day more in leisure time than women.
Which makes sense. Why
Which would make sense.
They get frustrated.
Because they're like, yo, you got an extra hour. Why don't you give me 15 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah, because most of the guys I know that like play video games, their wives are like, "Why do you have to play video games?" And like they're not talking about playing video games.
But it like that. But that's really true. So men, I think, man, this is like a challenge. We need to do a better job.
Yeah.
Part of it's like the mental load thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to take the mental load, because men by virtue of our DNA, I guess, we don't tend to like think about how could I help my wife, make her life easier around the house or whatever. We tend to go, baby, just tell me what you want and I will be happy to help you.
Yeah.
Like, I think most men who are like good men, good husbands, like, especially as believers, like we say, no, I want to honor God. And so like, if you need help, like tell me about it. I would love to help.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going, you know what? I see that she does these things. Let me go do those things. Let me cut it off at the pass. Like, let me do those because I know that that's... Now, I will say I do that. I do it better at certain times than other times.
Yeah.
But like if I see the trash getting full, like I know the trash needs to be taken out, so let me grab that, right?
Yeah.
Certain things like vacuuming. Last night, so you know my wife is gonna notice this, and that's part of the problem is we want to be noticed. So it's like, nah, I'm doing this unto the Lord. But like I saw like her side of the mirror had like got a little,
how it gets,
how a mirror gets, right? And so like I'm like, it'd be nice for me because the bathroom's pretty big, so it's like she's got her own vanity. You know what I'm saying?
Light flex.
So I had to go all the way over onto her side. Actually, there's a lot of wasted space in that bathroom. To be honest with you, I'm like, why'd they make the bathroom so big? Could have put that over here.
It's a selling point.
Giving me a study or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I think we do things like that, but probably not as often as we should.
I think like, and maybe this is my toxic masculinity side. I
This is not about idolatry today. This is about confessions.
Yes. But like I think for me it's also like we have different expectations, right? Like so in my perspective, I don't even think it's male female. I'm more the type of person that's like whoever has the more like what's a good word for it? Like whoever's more picky about how things are should bear that mental load.
Oh yeah. Right? Like oh, if you care about that.
Yeah, like
I don't really care.
There's men that are like not messy. They're very tidy, like type A, and then their wives are messy. Like in my head, logically, this is without Jesus. It goes straight to like, well, if you're the one that always has a problem with like everything being this, then that's on you.
Yeah.
Because that's not my fault that you're so picky.
Right.
But then insert Jesus, and it's like, no, you need to love them.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah. And I made them like that.
Yeah, and to make sure that you don't freaking have mold growing in the freaking fridge, because if
so that your house isn't condemned.
Yeah. So like naturally, I lean towards that logic, and then have to be like reminded that like, no, that's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's do two more of these. This one's funny. We actively hate at least one person we don't know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like sports.
Yeah.
Like, man, I hate that team. I hate Tom Brady. I hate Bill Belichick. Why do you hate him? You never met the dude. Why are you hating something? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really hate him, but I'll say like
it's that thing of like you just
I hate
don't like
Michigan,
and you don't even know why.
Yeah. I was like, that is true. We do that, but usually it's with sports.
Which isn't Michigan having like a big revival or something right now? There's like a lot of Christians or something.
Oh, are they?
Something like that.
Maybe that's why they're winning.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Jesus people.
I heard something like that, and I was going to text you and Cam and be like,
oh, no. No.
Y'all still don't talk about them?
No, we can't.
Brothers in Christ?
In fact, I shouldn't even said Michigan. I should have said Team Up North.
Oh,
it's
true.
It's like a sin to even say the name.
I'll bleep it out for you.
But I've been trying to like get over that.
Gracious.
Like, be gracious. All right, last one here. These are weird things that men do, by the way, if you haven't been keeping track. We do a quick 15 push-ups before going anywhere.
I used to.
This one I read that and I was like, that's so hilarious because it's so true. It is like to the beach or on a date or maybe you're getting fitted in a suit. Like anytime a bigger chest would impress somebody.
Get a real quick pump. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, I think you do that when you're younger.
Yeah.
I was reading this. I'm like, this guy is probably 30 or under.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this article, but it's. I mean, but there were some things I was like, oh, that's interesting. There are some weird things that we do. It's kind of an interesting topic. Are there any other things you do, like weird things? I was
about to say there's been like, I think there's a statistic that on men like sitting on the toilet for like 45 minutes at a time or something to like get away. Like
men have to sit on the toilet 10 times as long as women.
And that they'll be like, why are you in there still? And it's like, it's just my happy place.
Because I'm reading. That's why. Yeah. And I'm away from all that.
Alexis would be like, are you still? And I have the door open. Like, it's not like, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just hanging out. Like,
that is true. It's like, how can you ignore all this that's going on here? I'm like, easy. It comes naturally.
As soon as you sit on this, it's like sound
Like
goes away.
Everything else that's going on in life. Like, we have an intruder. I'd be like, yo, I'm not done.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So on the topic of things that men do, one of the things that we do, I don't know that this is weird as much as it is wrong. And I think more importantly, though, it's just inhibiting, right? Like, we can't be the best versions of ourselves, are idols. So for those who maybe haven't grown up in a Christian background, idol's a weird word. We think of maybe American Idol, right? Like, that's probably what a lot of people think.
Yeah,
or if
talent.
you're South Korean, you think
K-pop.
K-pop idols. So, like, I was looking at, what's the definition of idolatry? And one that kept coming up was a Tim Keller one. So I want to read this because this will kind of like maybe set the tone. So an idol is anything more important to you than God. So I thought, like, we could probably stop right there, right? Anything that absorbs your heart and imagination more than God. Anything you seek to give you only what God can give. Anything that is so central and essential to your life that should you lose it, your life would feel hardly worth living. In other words, an idol is a counterfeit God. So I thought that was a pretty good definition.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe we can kind of just start there. Anything more important to you than God? Anything that absorbs your heart and imagination more than God? Based on your experience, where would you say the men that you run with, again, like, this is the first time you're on the Patros podcast, you just stumbled on it. Patros is Greek for father, and it also speaks of kind of this generational wisdom. And so we like to have different generations if we can. It's just me and Allan today, but we have guests on, try to have different perspectives, different generations, literally like ages, because we think differently based on how old we are. So you run with that 30-somethings crowd, right? Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, it ranges all the way from like early 20s to,
Me?
60s.
Well, you are eclectic.
I've always loved being around older people. So, like, when I was 16, I wanted to sit down with the 60-year-olds and, like, just try to skip steps,
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as idolatry goes, like, I think what I see, I literally was thinking about this yesterday. It's comfort, safety, but like a false sense of safety, like my version of safety, not God's.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I see across the board. Is like, even like, I think the reason that missionaries, like people that go overseas and go into dangerous situations and like just abandon all like chains of society in order to make sure that they present the gospel to people that haven't had access to it, they're the purest form of like letting go of idols. Because so many, we work with foster families, aged out foster youth, at risk youth, and it's hard to get people involved. Like, can't even give up a Sunday or a Saturday or a weekday to just serve and serve somebody that doesn't benefit you, right? Like, commune with someone that you don't profit from. Like, I think it's a symptom of an idol. Yeah. And the idol is, I want my life to look like how my life looks.
Yeah. Yeah, he says in this article, whatever controls us is our Lord. The person who seeks power is controlled by power. The person who seeks acceptance is controlled by the people he or she wants to please. We do not control ourselves. We're controlled by the Lord of our lives. So it's like, it's that piece of it of lordship, and whatever dominates your thoughts is going to dominate you.
That's good.
Right? And, I look at it as, idolatry really, too, is kind of like your treasure. Where your treasure is, there is your idol,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so this way you look at your pocketbook, what are you spending your money on? And then what are you spending your time on? Those are the two things we got, right? I mean, everybody's got time. Not everybody has all the money, but everybody has some money. And you can typically tell by, you know, your bank statement where you're investing your importance in life, like what's important to you.
What do you value?
What you know, so what controls you? So, like, as you think about like that, let's just stick on that idea of comfort. So I think comfort is definitely an idol for us in the 21st century American church, if you will, but just America in large. We, you know, that's our goal, is to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Why would I do hard things?
Yeah.
Why would I put myself in harm's way, like as a missionary,
Yeah.
right? But why would I even put myself in a situation where I go, hey, here's this person who needs help on the side of the road. There's a lot of dangerous things that could happen if I stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, man, I know this person. I can tell they're really reaching out. Like they need some help, but man, I got an appointment to keep, or you know, I really want to get home because the game's on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so like that would be an example of comfort. Like our comfort would rule us over. And I'm just saying I'm super guilty of this. Super guilty of my schedule being interrupted by something. But like that interruption may be the one thing God had me there for, and I just, you know, swung and I whiffed, right? So I'm just thinking like in terms of comfort, how can we, because I do think that that's a big idol, how can we combat that? Like as believers, to say, you know what, comfort, because I think it's a subtle idol. So if an idol is anything that takes the place of God, or anything that's more important or absorbs our imagination more, like you don't think of comfort as absorbing our imagination, but all of our decisions show that it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those subtle ones that creeps in the back door. Like,
Yeah.
how would, like, in your experience, like how do we?
I feel like, I mean, so I have questions for you on that, but like what I've seen is like it's intention. Like what am I intentional with?
Yeah.
And so like what I've personally seen, like in the suburban, city, urban, whatever type of cultures that are just this like westernized civilization, is just the Christian version of a hangout group. So like we hang out, we're just also Christian.
Yeah.
We still do a lot of the same stuff. Like a lot of people still claim Jesus, and they're still drinking to like that tipping point. They're still, you know, just hitting those tipping points where it's like, this is a little like you're not being set apart. But you're basically just a Christian version of a group, because there's even friend groups that are like, yeah, we don't do any of that stuff. We just really read the Bible together. And that's good. That's community. You want that. But there's not an evangelistic effort, or there's not a missional aspect to it. There's not this aspect of like the goal of the friendship group is Jesus. Instead, it's pleasure. It's just covered in a Christian film.
A veneer.
Yeah. And so like it's still comfort, and so I feel like the way that you combat that is being intentional. Like it's being intentional on like, hey guys, are we living missionally? Like, are we changing our community and are we changing lives? Or does our friend group just basically like get together and read the Bible? And that's good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Going against the status quo though is very difficult. And the funny part is that is in some sense an idol in our culture. Like you have people who are like, oh, you do you, you know, like don't let anybody tell you what to do. Like you're your own person, and like all of that kind of individualization of you know, of the American soul.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so it's like in one sense we're taught to kind of go against the grain, but what I see is very few people go against the grain.
Yeah.
Like most people that I know are trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Most people that I know are trying to just do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Like they're not actually trying to go against the grain.
Yeah.
And as believers, if we were, we would look totally different, right, than the world, because we would say the world doesn't really have anything to offer us. And it's not that the world is bad. Like I would argue that it's marred, right? It goes back to that idea of our sin, like our nature. So we're made in the image of God.
Yeah.
We're image bearers. We're made in that image, but that image is marred by sin.
Yeah.
So same thing with creation and the world. Like it's got God's fingerprint all over it, right? So it's not as though God doesn't want us to enjoy His creation. To me, the two go hand in hand together. The question is who is reigning supreme?
That's good.
Right? Are you enjoying that because it's your own selfish desires, or are you enjoying it because God has given it to me, and man, I want to explore God and everything He's given us. Yeah. It's like a totally different, and on the outside it looks the same. Like on the outside it really could look the same. Yeah. But internally, because of the heart posture, right, it looks different.
So I had this thought, I think I was driving, and it was the thought of God has created our existence, our reality, to be a holistic one, right? So similar to like a football game. What is the most important part of a football game? It's the football, right? You need a football to play football, and then the people playing. But outside of that experience, to have the full experience of a football game, you need fans, you need coaches, you need refs, you need a field. Like there's other things that are necessary, but there are parts of it that are the most necessary. Like God has made it to where, yes, He is the point. Like He is the point, but to fully experience God, He has made it so that you need to experience these other. Do y'all want to hear more of that conversation? Well, you can by becoming a Patros subscriber. You'll get exclusive member-only content. Just go to the link in the description or go to the Patros website.
Yeah, and when you become a subscriber, like what you're telling us is that you enjoy this content and you want to hear more of it. So every dollar that you give helps us do just that.
So thank you again for listening as we just together go on this journey of embracing healthy masculinity.